Hello friends, Nayaswami Hriman here, and it's time to ask a yogi. I had an unusual question come to me from Africa. The situation is something like this. There's the husband's mother, that is to say the wife's mother-in-law, seems to be a pestilence to the small family in this way. The wife, the mother of the small child, notices that the child acts up or cries whenever the mother-in-law appears on the premises. The baby seems to have a negative reaction to the mother-in-law. And in the letter, in the note that I got, the mother-in-law even seems to behave when not being observed in a not very nice way to the baby. So it's really hard to know what's going on in a situation like this, but I'd like to expand it for the Ask a Yogi audience to relatives who either disturb our children or whom we would like not to have around our children, because of their influence, their attitudes, their potential for erratic behavior perhaps, or maybe they use foul language and any number of kinds of things like that. To banish a relative, unless they really do something overtly wrong, is hurtful, and one wants to prevent that where possible. Obviously, I would recommend praying for the relative and the children. Depending on the children's age, you might be able to sit them down and explain something about Uncle Charlie, perhaps. But maybe they're younger and that's not necessarily the way to go. So obviously you will not want that relative to be alone with your children. Take them out on outings particularly. You or some other family member wants always to be present with them. But of course the most important thing starts with the children's safety. But I'm hoping and assuming physical safety is not so much the issue. It's more the influence of negativity is what I have in mind anyway. And so does it help to talk to that relative? Well, if they curse a lot, maybe you could just talk to them about that particular behavior. That's fairly objective and rational. But other forms of behavior are hard to address. Maybe in a female relative it's immodesty. I don't know. Hard for me to think of what that would be. But I do think it's more common than we might imagine, especially among devotees. When we go to visit our families, as my family has done all the years we lived in an Ananda community, there are certain things that the children might observe or be exposed to that are, we would prefer not to. In the case of small children, that would typically be entertainment, quote unquote, movies that we don't think they are prepared for, that kind of thing. Partly it's a balance between exposing the children to realities they will have to encounter at some point, and partly it's to protect them. Nowadays, the upbringing of children leans far more to the protective end of the scale, and for good reason. Though it's not how I was raised, nor did I raise my children with that much concern for their protection from negative influences. But then the way the world is today, it's a lot more extreme. So use your common sense, but try to have some perspective. After all, children are souls, and souls have their own karma. So beyond any safety to them, be realistic, have a perspective, and realize that they will ultimately be exposed to a wide range of characters in this world. And you, at least when they are young, you are their greatest influencer with how you behave and even how you react to some of these seeming threats or not wholesome exposures. Your ability to remain calm and non-attached or even-minded anyway. And I think that example is far more important than shielding a child from something terrible. Well, when I say terrible, I don't really mean it that way. Something that you wouldn't do or you wouldn't say or you wouldn't watch or that kind of thing. So my message for parents of young children these days is maybe not to be quite so much of a helicopter parent, and be wise, be safe, but be large and expansive and understand that this child will grow up, and to be able to relate meaningfully and from their center to things that they may have to deal with and be exposed to is good training. All right, well, not everyone would agree with my thoughts on the subject, but that's what I'd like to offer to you today. All right.